Thanks for tuning in to tonight's edition of the Renter Report. Murray the Eye, reporting from the city too tough to die, New London. Now, if you're anything like me, well, I know you're not like me because I'm fat. I got to lose probably 20, 25, 30 pounds. I've been on every diet there is. I've tried every gimmick there is. So tonight, Dr. Michael Falk is our guest, and he has a diet that he is championing. Been very successful, and we'll get to that in 1 minute. Just a couple of announcements. First, we want to wish our condolences to Bob Place's family. Bob Place passed away last week, salt of the earth guy from New London. Wonderful family. Everybody's going to miss him, and I can tell you he was a salt of the earth guy that everybody just loved. Reggie Nito's wife, Eleanor, passed away as well. And anybody that knew Reggie, and I had the honor of working with Reggie many years, knew that the secret behind his success with his wife, Eleanor. So our condolences to the Nito family. And Al Butchka's wife, Loretta, passed away. Lived on Maple Avenue for years. Al, another salt of the earth guy, she's up with him making him spaghetti sauce because she could really cook a great sauce. So our condolences to those families and the other families that we don't know who lost loved ones last week. Happy birthday is in order. Actually, it's a belated birthday because I screwed up and I missed it last week, but one of New London's biggest supporters, he's at every event, either working or enjoying it, Bob Hinners. I think Bob turned 59 last week. We want to wish you happy birthday, Bob, and many more to come. In addition, we've all heard these predictions of spring. The groundhog is full of baloney, we know that. But I can assure you, and you can take this to the bank and bet your house on it. Spring is opening up because T.A. Scott's is opening. I think next week, possibly the following week, but I think it might be next week because they're early. They've got the best kitchen. They just renovated their kitchen. It's by far a superior kitchen to any kitchen in the city of New London, and nobody works like the Ashenfelters, I can tell you. Where they bring the lobsters in, I'm dying for some lobster bisque. I haven't had it in a year. Nobody around here comes close to it. So Susan and the entire Ashenfelter family, hurry up and get open because I'm starving. And before I go on a diet, I want a couple lobster bisque. So, Dr. Falk, you know, years ago there was a professional football team by the name of the Colonels. Their big problem in the league was that they were all overweight. Bob Weiss was a big shot with them. Had the Colonels had you then as their dietary guide, they'd still be in business. So we want to thank you and welcome you to the show. And let's start with this diet that you have championed. Well, one quick announcement, though.
Sure.
I forgot this. The Community Fund Drive, Saturday, March 30th, in the parking lot at the New London Mall. It's to benefit the Gemma Moran. Everybody knows the good work Gemma does. Sorry that I forgot that. Sorry that I interrupted you, Doc. But this diet, getting back to the diet, what's the scoop with this diet?
Well, the diet is Ideal Protein. It was a diet that came out of Canada. It was started by a French medical physician, PhD in nutrition, a Dr. Tron. And he took an original protein formula from a guy from Harvard. And Dr. Tron himself was a world-class athlete. He went back to France to treat the world-class athletes there because he thought that regulation of insulin level and pancreatic dysfunction was actually the cause of people gaining weight, and this hyperinsulinemia that happens with that is the precursor to the obesity, the diabetes, the increased cholesterol, and the high blood pressure. So as far as me trumping the diet, actually I have to thank my wife because she's the full force behind this, because if it wasn't for her, when I introduced this diet as a phone call from Boston, I said, Sue, somebody wants to come down and talk to us about this diet. We're going to be the first clinic in Connecticut for Ideal Protein. And she said yes. And pretty much the rest is history, but it's all her hard work and her tremendous weight loss on the program that has made our office an integral part in helping a lot of people.
So at the time when you first were introduced to the ideal protein diet, were you heavy? Did you need to lose weight as well?
I lost 25 pounds in 6 weeks. It was actually the simplest thing I've ever done in my life. In fact, that's how, and thanks for the coffee. It'll probably keep me up all night. Usually I get up at 5 in the morning, into the office at 6. But I remember on the diet, only 1 teaspoon of skim milk in your coffee. I'm a visual kind of guy. So I usually had cream in my coffee, no sugar. But put 1 teaspoon of cream in the coffee, it looks like mud. So from that time on, it's strictly black coffee for me.
And you mentioned you lost 25 pounds in
6 weeks.
In 6 weeks. Now that seems like an amazing amount of weight to lose in a short period of time. Is that, did you exercise with the diet? Is exercise required with the diet? What's the secret to this thing?
The protocol on this diet is the first couple of weeks, we do not want any excessive exercise. Walking is fine, treadmill, things like that, resistance bands. But we want to get the body into ketosis because we eliminate the majority of the carbohydrates in your diet, we eliminate the majority of fat, and after 4 days, you use up the glycogen reserves, and then the only thing left to burn is fat. Fat is a high-octane fuel. You will have never felt so good. It's a non-inflammatory diet, and the weight quickly comes off. In fact, my 25 pounds over 6 weeks is nothing compared to the people that need to lose 100 and 150 pounds. We have had individuals lose 100 pounds in 6.5 months, one individual. And I know the medical doctors might not like this. He lost 100 pounds in 4.5 months. He did the Atkins diet years ago. The important part of this diet, he maintained his muscle mass. And he checked with his medical doctor, and all the blood electrolytes were all normal throughout the whole program. But that has been the quickest weight loss we've had. Usually a guy will lose 100 pounds in 7 months and a woman 8 months.
Tell us a little, walk us through a typical day on the diet. What would one have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and are we going to be hungry?
That's a phenomenal thing about the diet. Once you're in ketosis, the cravings go away. But a typical day on the diet, you will have a protein pack in the morning. It could make an omelet. You could have a pudding. You could have a drink. Then you'll have another protein pack at lunch, 2 cups of select vegetables. Select vegetables are the low-carb vegetables, and all the salad greens you want. Your third meal of the day is meat or fish, 5 to 8 ounces. 2 more cups of select vegetables, all the salad you want. You supplement sea salt because we want to maintain the electrolyte balance, that's important. You're going to drink 64 ounces of water a day, and you're going to have another protein pack in the evening. We want to have 50 grams, we want to have 50% of your muscle mass in grams of protein. So if you have 100 pounds of lean muscle mass, you need 50 grams of protein to maintain that. And that's the most important part that I look for on the diet. Are you losing weight and keeping your muscle? Because a lot of diets, you'll lose muscle mass. Well, for every 10 pounds of muscle mass you lose, you sacrifice 500 calories. So we want to maintain the muscle. We want to gradually work you into exercise activity. And then you're more likely, after the pancreas rests, and I didn't bring that up, the whole reason for the diet is to rest the pancreas, because most people have hyperinsulinemia. And even the ones that aren't type 2 diabetics will have free-floating insulin, which affects a lot of adverse conditions in the body. And believe it or not, the pancreas can heal because many of the type 2 diabetics either reduce or get off their medication. And that's what drives us in the office. It's not taking fat people, getting them skinny. It's taking unhealthy people and getting them healthy.
What's the difference between this diet and a diet like the Atkins diet?
The Atkins diet is all the fat and all the protein you want. And when you think about it, that in itself isn't healthy, and you haven't learned anything. At least on the ideal protein method, you're learning to eat vegetables, which we don't eat enough of. You're having meat or fish, so you're eating regular food, supplementing the protein instead of some of these other diets where you have protein shakes all day and you don't learn anything. Some of the other diets, you have mail order food that comes in and you have a pre-made hamburger. You haven't learned anything. You haven't made a conscious choice. With our diet, that's how we re-educate people.
So is it a lifestyle change? That's a term that's often referred to. For a guy like me, I need a serious lifestyle change because I love to eat and there's nothing that I don't like.
Lifestyle got you to where you are, and lifestyle will take you out of that. What's good about the Ideal Protein is you will quickly, safely lose your weight, because if you had to lose 100 pounds and if you were on some other diets and it took you 3 years, you'd get discouraged. But somebody that needs to lose that much weight, if they can lose it in 7 or 8 months, they're excited, and now they're over the hump. And besides that, this diet, you have energy on that you won't believe, and aches and pains tend to go away, because our typical American diet, or standard American diet, is SAD, is pro-inflammatory. We're killing ourselves with what we eat, and it mainly comes down to carbohydrates.
So what happens if you start this diet and you fall off the wagon and have some real food in between the dietary food? What effect does that have on it?
It will take you out of ketosis.
What is ketosis, Doc?
Ketosis is actually when you're burning fat for fuel. So when you're on the program, if it takes you 3 to 4 days to get into ketosis, and you start burning fat many hours a day throughout the night for a number of weeks, why would you want to eat an apple? Not that an apple's bad food, but you stop burning fat. And our goal is to rest the pancreas. So if we upset and make that pancreas fire out more insulin, then we're not letting the pancreas heal properly.
Okay, and so let's say you want to go out and forget the ketosis. You've got an engagement, a social engagement where there is food being served. It's very difficult for a guy like me to resist.
Any function you go to, they're going to have meat, they're going to have vegetables, and they're going to have salad. Unless it's a cocktail party, and then they have nuts and little fried foods. We've had people on the program travel 25 weeks a year all over the country, take the packets with them on airlines, and eat in any restaurant. And because of the restaurant industry, you can pretty much dictate what kind of food you want. I want lean meat, I want vegetables, and salad. So it's basically a choice. You can certainly go off the diet, but then you've got to get back into ketosis again.
Side effects of the diet, are there any?
Some people initially may have some hunger. Certainly ketosis gives you bad breath. Constipation can be a problem on some people. But then again, if I look at my chiropractic patients, they have a lot of these things that are not even on the diet. But there are really no side effects other than some people are allergic to sucralose. And those people allergic to it generally know it. And sucralose allergy is like somebody with asthma that's allergic to nuts, and it just causes an asthmatic attack. So there are certain allergies to a couple of the food items for those people that have that allergy.
So I Googled high-protein diets, and some of the concerns that were on the Google thing was kidney problems, digestion problems, risk of osteoporosis, increased allergic responses, nutrient deficiency, and other medical conditions. You're a doctor. You know all about this stuff. Is this a concern? Or?
You know, I'm really happy you did ask me that question, because I was doing an Ideal Protein consultation to a medical doctor. And she said, well, these high-protein diets. And I said, this is not high protein. It's enough protein to support muscle mass, no more. It's not like the weightlifters out there that are bulking up and using a lot of protein. This maintains the acid-alkaline balance in the body, so it's just enough. In fact, most people, especially women, don't have enough protein a day. And that's why when they're on the diet, they may not lose a lot of weight 1 week, but what the scale shows, they have an increase in muscle mass. So specifically your question, it's not a high-protein diet.
And how about Dr. Oz? Does he, I mean, millions of people watch Dr. Oz, and he plugs several diets. Is this type of diet on his good list?
That I don't know, but all diets work Some are more suitable to other people, but I found this to be the most successful, and as my wife has, because she has had a weight problem all her life, and this has been the most successful for her and many of the patients.
What is your success rate, Doc? How many people will go on this diet and lose 30 or 40 pounds and do what I've done historically through the years, is lose it and put it back on?
Everybody on this program that I know of in the office loses weight. Some will lose faster than others. If you've been overweight all your life and you've lost the weight, and we suggest to people to come in every couple of weeks after you're in phase 4, which is basically maintenance, where you eat proper foods, you eat your vegetable. You can still go out and have prime rib, drinks, and dessert, but what do you do the next day? Lean protein and vegetables, so you don't store the carbs from the night before. But if you have those extravagant days, 3-4 days a week, everybody's going to put their weight back on.
Now, is there any room for a bowl of pasta down at the Italian Dramatic Club, the greatest meal in America? Can we squeeze this in anyway?
You can squeeze it in after you've completed, got your weight loss, and eat your carbs judiciously.
Is the diet strictly for people who want to lose weight, or would an athlete, somebody who's active in sports, would they partake in a diet like this?
Actually, that's Dr. Tron, the French medical doctor, PhD in nutrition. He treated world-class athletes to improve performance, because even though they're athletes, regulating their insulin level and toning them is really how the diet got started.
Now, I got to ask you, you're a chiropractor. Before you went into the dietary business, your business was strictly a chiropractor.
Musculoskeletal system, sure.
How'd you get involved in this thing? And you seem very passionate about it.
I never ever wanted to have anything with diets other than telling people to lose weight. I was at a chiropractic seminar, a technique seminar in Boston, and at all seminars they have vendors in a hall, and there was a guy there that had a big banner, ideal protein, quick weight loss without sacrificing muscle mass, no cravings, and I walked right by him because I wasn't interested, even though my wife was overweight. I went to the seminar, sat in the front seat as I usually do, and this guy came in the first break and was telling again how great it was. I wasn't interested. I'm looking at him and going, yeah. So at lunchtime, I ate lunch with the technique instructor, and he was a 65-year-old gentleman, chiropractor from Arizona. He said, Mike, I lost 45 pounds. I got off my diabetic, my cholesterol, and my high blood pressure medication. Now, that wasn't somebody selling me something. That was a colleague that has done the program, and they put it in their office, and they were helping a lot of people. And that was the key, helping people. Again, not making fat people skinny, but getting them healthy.
What do these supplements taste like? They chalky, or are they tasty?
The taste on the protein foods, there are so many different ones to pick from. They're actually pretty darn good. The puddings, they should be chilled. You might get a little protein aftertaste. The drinks are all phenomenal. And then there are restricted proteins, which have 20 more carbs. And you're restricted to, out of your 3 protein packets, 1 restricted a day. Those are the kind of the candy bars, the crunchy salt and vinegar chips and things like that. So it tastes very similar to off-the-shelf stuff, but there's more protein, minimal carbs, and no fat in the products.
Tell us a little bit about diabetics. You mentioned that before the show, you mentioned that some people were able to alter their diabetes injections and medication.
Absolutely.
How does that work? And tell us a little bit about the effects on a person that has diabetes.
I usually tell a diabetic, that's type 2 diabetic, they may be taking 2 meds morning and evening, that if they take their evening med, their blood pressure, because it's a minimal carb diet, their blood pressure is going to drop low. We don't want them to go too low so they get the shakes and get the sweats. I'd rather have them have a little higher blood sugar in the morning than too low in the middle of the night. And I always tell them, you check your blood sugar. I'm not telling you to not take your med, but I'm telling you if you take it, there's a good chance it's going to go low. And we've had tremendous success rate. And I got to compliment the patients that are diabetics. In fact, diabetic patients know more about diabetes than I'll ever know. They watch their blood sugars and they report back, you know, this is the lowest blood sugar, it's 100. It's the lowest blood sugar I've had in months and months, even on the diabetic meds. So they can cut back and still have pretty good blood sugar. And again, it depends on the integrity and the function of their pancreas, how functional or dysfunctional it is.
Now, is the effect of a person with diabetes because of the weight loss or because of the food that they're eating?
Obesity, well, there's a syndrome called Syndrome X. It's diabetes, it's high cholesterol, high blood pressure, high blood glucose levels, and hypertension. Once you lose your weight and rest the pancreas, your whole body starts working better. And that's why the diabetics type 2 can decrease their medication. In fact, type 1 diabetics that have been on it's an alternate protocol where actually a type 1 diabetic gets a carb, a fruit, and a dairy a day. We don't want them going into ketoacidosis. They will lose weight, and a couple of the type 1s that are on the diet, they've been able to cut back their insulin about 50%.
Have there been any studies done, Dr. Falk, with regard to the effects of this diet, both pro and con, and if so, tell us about them.
The diet's been around probably 24 years now. It started in Canada.
And it's identified as the ideal protein diet.
Correct. As far as the studies, I'm not privileged to that communication, but I do know that being in America here, many medical doctors are putting it in their offices, and there's always seminars that we go to that tell us of the protocol. But we do know, just from individual offices and from the corporate, that losing your weight, stabilizing your blood sugar, and resting the pancreas makes other bodily functions more healthy, more proper.
Now, for everybody out there, and if you have any questions for Dr. Falk, don't hesitate to call, because tonight's the night that could change your life. I got to get a smaller sport coat. Would you hold up the 5 pounds of fat? And I can't believe that takes up so much room.
We have had patients lose 20, 25, and 30 of these. 5 pounds. Patients come in the office. What is that? It's 5 pounds of fat. They say, well, I don't believe it. Put it on a scale, and it's 5 pounds.
No wonder my knees are killing me.
Oh, for every 5 or 10 pounds you lose, you take, because of the pressure of the knee, 20, 30 pounds of pressure off your knees. So
I could get taller with this thing, too.
Gravity's a terrible thing.
And how about sugar, Doc? What's did the sugar have something to do with the dietary?
Well, let me run by, if we have the time, a real clip. Typical day, I had a patient do a diet survey for me. She started out Panera's Bakery, had a cinnamon crunch, a couple of coffees, half and half, couple of sugars, another coffee, Big Mac, supersized fries, supersized Coke for lunch, another coffee after lunch. Then she had a Snickers bar. Then she went to Olive Garden, had spaghetti, marinara sauce.
Who was this now?
It was a patient, did a diet survey. Spaghetti, marinara sauce. You like Italian stuff.
Love it.
You can eat a big bowl. 3 pieces of garlic bread, had her salad, came home, had a couple of chocolate chip cookies, 2% glass of milk. And the interesting part about this is if we look at 4 carbs equals 1 teaspoon of sugar, this individually consumed 4,400 calories. Does that sound like a lot?
No.
We've all done it. I've done
But
it.
that seems like a lot of food for 4,000 calories. I mean, I couldn't even top that.
Well, if she ate other more incorrect things, it could have been up to 5,000 calories. But what's interesting is that 4,000 calories translates into 700 carbohydrates, which translates into 175 teaspoons of sugar. Now, we wouldn't put this in a glass and drink it, but on a daily basis, we eat this stuff and we're not thinking about what we're doing. This will kill you. Type 2 diabetes will shorten your life. Later on, diabetic neuropathy, you go blind, they cut your toes off. It's all choice.
Thank you. Mind if we take a call? Let's see what's on this caller's mind. Thank you for calling. You're live with Dr.
Hi.
Falk.
Hi. Yes, I have a question, and I'm wondering if the food products, are vegan.
Strict vegans cannot do the diet.
Okay. Is it milk protein based?
It's soy, whey, albumin, collagen, and dairy make up the protein derivatives.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Doc, could it be my metabolism? Because I really don't eat that much.
It could be metabolism, but most likely it's not. It's a dysfunctional pancreas, where if you have a regular metabolism and you eat more calories than you burn because of the insulin problem. Insulin does basically two things. It takes sugar out of the blood and puts fat in the cell. Sugar out of the blood, fat in the cell. So even if you only eat 200 or 300 calories more than you burn, instead of it kicking out of your body with a normal functioning pancreas, it goes to fat storage.
Let's take another call, Doc. Thank you for calling. You live.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are
Good.
you?
Good. I was wondering if celery had any fat qualities whatsoever, because I was told that eating celery has no positive or negative effects. If anything, by eating more celery, you burn calories just by physical act of eating it. Is that true?
Celery and a couple other things are negative energy foods. So in other words, you eat it, you actually cause more calories to be burnt digesting it than you get out of it. So we ought to make the celery diet.
So that's good, right?
That's good, but it doesn't have all the nutrients. But it is a good filler. It's good for the colon, and certainly on our protocol, that's one of the vegetables you can eat. What you cannot eat on this protocol is carrots, peas, parsnips. Parsnips is like eating pure sugar on the glycemic index. So we keep people to the broccoli, cauliflower, zucchini, yellow crooked neck squash, onions, peppers, things like that, which are the lower carb foods.
How about a little sausage in there with the peppers?
Absolutely not.
Anything else, caller?
I was also wondering if swimming in the pool, that also produced a lot of sweat. I wasn't quite sure because I couldn't tell while I'm swimming if I'm sweating or not, but just a health question.
Swimming in the pool caused a lot of sweat? Is that your question?
Yes.
Certainly, as your metabolism increases, but it's very difficult to swim and lose weight. You don't burn the calories swimming as you would walking briskly because you're not fighting gravity. So, I mean, it's a great exercise, but you don't burn. In fact, it's very difficult to exercise and lose weight. Extremely difficult. In fact, I had a patient that was trying to get into the Air Force. He wanted to go in as an officer, and he was working out in the gym 3 days a week with a trainer, pumping iron, doing everything he could. He couldn't lose weight. He had come in for a back problem, and I said, the only way you're going to lose your weight is if you do a proper diet. He did the diet, and he got down to his BMI. They're getting picky these days, the military. They want you lean and mean. They don't want you overweight and work you into the proper weight, at least if you're going into officer things in Air Force. But then he was finally accepted. And, 3 months on the diet, he got to where he went, and he met their guidelines, which was great.
Interesting. So without the proper diet, exercise won't make a difference in your weight or BMI, correct?
Exercise is a great way to maintain your weight. But if you take a marathon runner, will run 26 point some miles, he'll burn 3,500 calories. That translates
Thank you very much for answering my question.
You're welcome. That translates into 1 pound of fat. All that running.
Thank you for the call, Are you all set?
I'm all dialed in, thanks.
All right, hope we're able to help you. You know, that exercise is a bunch of baloney, Doc. I go to Planet Fitness, and I go to Planet Fitness and I put on weight, and I do 20 minutes on a bicycle, and I do 20 minutes on the elliptical. I was doing 30, but it was killing me. It's a bunch of baloney. I was told by somebody, exercise for your health, diet to lose weight. Make sense?
Makes absolute sense.
Thank you for calling. You're live with Dr. Falk. Hello.
Hello.
You're live.
Hello. I'm a diabetic type 2, and they tell me, my doctor says I can't eat strawberries, and she's not to eat strawberries or pineapple.
The only thing I can think
And
is
corn.
and corn. They're high in the glycemic index. They will turn to sugar more quickly than other type of food. An apple would be better for you. But
Okay.
interesting about an apple, if you eat 1 apple a day above the calories you burn, you'll put on 10 pounds that year. And an apple's a
Really?
great food.
Wow.
But you have to only eat what you burn. That's why exercise is good
Okay.
after you've maintained your weight.
Okay.
But are you doing anything for your diabetes other than staying away from strawberries?
I have to watch what I eat. I have to be very careful. I eat a lot of celery, a lot of salad.
Okay.
I can't eat any fried foods at all. No fried foods, period. My doctor said no.
How's your weight?
I lost weight. I went from 250 to 223.
Okay. And your cholesterol and blood pressure?
Cholesterol and blood pressure right now are okay, they told me.
Are you on medication?
Yes.
Well, then it's not okay. So you can't.
I take I prick my finger every other day.
Okay. I mean, your blood pressure's okay, but you're on a medication. So you're
Yes.
still in a state of dis-ease,
Yeah.
which is
I'm a diabetic type 2.
right. But as I said, proper diet, many of our type 2 diabetic patients are able to drastically reduce and get off their medications because their body functions more properly with proper diet.
So, could I ask you, would I be out of line if I asked you how old you were?
How old am I?
Yeah,
53.
50. I'm 66.
I'm
Doc.
53.
I'm 66, and I've always fought weight. It seems to be getting harder for me as I'm getting even older. Is that the case? And caller like this young lady, would she benefit from the ideal protein diet?
How long have you been diabetic?
Since last year, last November.
Okay, if you were just diagnosed, that means your pancreas isn't trashed that much. There is an excellent chance that you can dramatically decrease or get off those medications just based on the dozens and dozens and dozens of type 2 diabetics that we've had in the office over the last 3 years. It's just a way to, you have to make that decision. Do I want to continue treating a symptom, or do I want to try to fix the problem? And we know that proper diet, exercise, resting the pancreas, normalizing insulin levels, many of those people can get off those medications.
So is it the weight that directly affects diabetes?
Well, the weight is a result of the dietary habits, which affects the insulin level. The tissues become resistant. And to answer your other question, our metabolism slows as we get older. So it's a normal thing that happens. In fact, in life, there's only 2 times that it's normal to lose weight: when you're sick and when you're dying. Other than that, your body fights it all the time. But this program is a program that is extremely effective in getting your body to lose weight and then make those conscious decisions, which is going to help stabilize and maintain your weight.
Anything else, ma'am?
No, thank you.
All right, thanks
Thank
for the call.
Bye-bye.
So, in the clinic, Doc, your office is over in Groton. You got 5 or 6 people working over there with you. Everybody on this diet?
Not all of them are overweight. A couple of the staff have done the diet. I and my wife have done the diet, and it's just a program. If you need to lose weight, is extremely successful.
You mentioned that a person on a vegan diet cannot go on this diet. Is there anyone else who cannot? Is the diet for everyone but on a vegan diet?
What's the one disease? People that are on lithium therapy cannot do it because it's such a critical balance of their lithium therapy. People that are under chemotherapy for cancers. People that have had surgeries and that, we get a release from their medical doctor. If people have had a cancer that's been cancer-free for years, we generally want to get a release from their medical physician.
How about prostate cancer?
Prostate cancer, if it's taken out, there's not a problem. People say, well, the soy in the products can affect it. The soy is a soy isolate. In fact, I had a medical doctor on the program, and I asked him, he was a gynecologist, and I said, what about the soy in those types of cancers? He says, it's not a problem. It's a soy isolate. So that's from his perspective.
How about if somebody were treated with radiation, didn't have their prostate removed?
No, there's no problem because that is already taken care of, and it shouldn't affect that. Everything else has been taken care of.
All right, Doc, I got to ask you the key question here. Guy like me, I'm pretty tight with a buck. What's the cost of this diet? Is it going to be a small fortune?
Well, interestingly, people will call up and say, does my insurance cover it? And insurance does not cover it. If you have a health savings account, it will. But the weekly fee for the protein is about $84 a week. There's an initial consultation. We don't charge a program fee. We do charge a consultation fee up front, $50. We have a workshop which explains everything. If people don't choose to come to a workshop, then the consultation's $100. And then there are 3 to 4 vitamins you take that you have to replenish each month, and they're $20-some a piece.
So what do you got to spend for $100 for a consultation? I mean, I know I'm fat.
Go over your history and find out if you really can do the diet, can't do the diet. We've got to weigh you. We've got to take measurements. We don't charge for weekly weigh-in fees, as some clinics do. But that initial $50 is to cover all of that time and effort to do that, and then your weekly weigh-ins. We don't charge you separately, but that's just part of the $50, which is actually kind of minimal in this day and age.
Let's talk about the essentials of life, Doc. You have a philosophy on that.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about on your 6 essentials of life.
6 essentials of life. What you eat, and we've talked about that. We know grains are pro-inflammatory. At the bottom of the food pyramid used to be grains when we were both young. Now they've moved it up. Grains are high in omega-6 oils. Omega-6s are pro-inflammatory. So we've got to decrease the carbs, increase the omega-3 oils. What you drink is another essential of life. Are we drinking enough water? Most people, and especially senior citizens, do not drink enough water. What you eat, what you drink, how you exercise, or do you exercise at all? Exercise is extremely important if it's just walking for 10 or 15 minutes a day. Eat, drink, exercise, how you rest. Do you sleep properly? Do you get enough sleep? And we know that people that don't sleep enough tend to put on weight. There's many, many research articles on that. Eat, drink, exercise, rest. Breathe. The last one.
Did you say breathe?
Breathe. What you breathe. What you eat, what you drink, how you exercise, how you rest, and what you breathe. Do you breathe enough? We see people, they come in the office, they sit like this. They tell them, sit up straight, taking a deep breath. What has happened? We've increased the oxygen in the lungs. We basically oxygenated every tissue in the body, which is pretty important. Brain's a tissue. We straightened up the spine, the nervous system. So we've affected structure, function, which improves health. And the last is probably the most important, what you think. What do you think about on a daily basis? Do you think about the cheeseburger? Or do you think about accomplishing something? Do you think about, you can eat healthy food and be totally satisfied. What we do is we're into a carb choice because of habit. In fact, the only difference between a habit, a good habit and a bad habit, is which one you choose. They're both habits.
Is it possible that a guy like me is addicted to food because I eat after I'm full because I like the taste of it?
You do that, and it's also blood sugar. You can eat a meal, an hour later you're hungry. This diet stabilizes blood sugar, and that's the key. If you get the pancreas firing off at the right times. One thing about this diet, glucagon is the opposite of insulin, so that when you get hungry at 10 in the morning, instead of going out and getting a jelly donut, a cup of coffee, glucagon's supposed to kick in, tell the liver, let's kick in some glucose in your system to level out your blood sugar. And that'll take care of the afternoon, 2 o'clock, I'm hungry or I'm tired. It's all blood sugar.
Doc, we only got about 17 minutes left, and I want to get to some of, on the other side of your, or the other hat that you wear because you're a chiropractor. And just a little history, Dr. Falk, he's been a chiropractor for 36 years in Groton. He's got a wife, Susan, son that's a plumber, by the way. He's got a daughter that's
Nurse at Yale.
a nurse, so he's raised a beautiful family for sure. He's a fellow in the Acupuncture Society of America. Had a former radio show years ago, The Back Talk on WSUB. He's a representative allied health professional, Southeastern Connecticut Task Force in 1998, an IME physician, MedSource Incorporated, New England Independent Quality Exams Incorporated. He's had numerous postgraduate classes related to chiropractic techniques, nutrition, etc. So being, with that very, very formidable resume, being a chiropractor, do you look at health and disease differently than a medical doctor? And is there still great debate between the MDs and the chiropractors?
As far as a debate, the younger medical physicians coming out are much more open-minded to chiropractic. Some of the older ones may have some questions, but I think if they look at the chiropractic education and what we do today. In fact, years ago, I sent a patient to one of the neurosurgeons at the hospital. He wrote me a little letter back. He says, you and your colleagues are much more in depth at evaluating and treating back problems than most of the medical doctors. And that was from a neurosurgeon. So I felt good about that because we tried to do a proper workup examination. As far as other things, difference between medicine and chiropractic, 80% of medicine is test. We're going to do this blood test, we're going to do this CAT scan, we're going to do this MRI, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Only 20% of medicine is treatment. 80% of chiropractic is treatment. So that is a big difference. As far as cost, we know that we have a tremendous healthcare crisis. And I always tell people, you can never ever treat enough symptoms to correct the cause of a disease. We in chiropractic try to treat a cause of a disease. If you had something happen when you were very young, it's mechanical. We try to fix the mechanical part of it. If it can't be totally fixed, what can we do to maintain it? And then re-educate your postural exercise habits to do that. On the other half, medicine, most of their treatment is drugs, as we know. In fact, the life expectancy in America, according to the World Health Organizations, we rank like 17th or 20th of the industrialized nations. But I don't fault medicine for giving a lot of drugs because most people who go to a doctor, what do they want? They want a quick fix. Pop, pop, fizz, fizz. Oh, what a relief it is. We don't have headaches because we have a lack of aspirin. We have headaches because there's generally a muscle contraction problem in the back of the neck, which causes the most common type headache. So we as Americans want quick fixes, and that's not good for our long-term health.
So somebody comes to see you, you pop a few bones and stretch them out a little bit?
Well, we might stretch them out. As far as popping bones, that's a characteristic chiropractic treatment, joint manipulation. I've gravitated into more of an instrument adjustment. In fact, let me show you what this is here. This is an impulse instrument. It's an impulse IQ. There's a computer chip and an accelerometer in here. And what it does, it actually senses joint motion. The key is not a bone out of place, as we have thought in chiropractic and many patients think. It's actually a joint that doesn't move properly with the place it's in. So by unlocking that joint, we reestablish neurological and circulatory patterns, and that neurology goes back into the spinal cord, up to the brain, and back down. And it's amazing that those little nerves that come out of the spine, you know where they go?
Brain?
Well, the nerves that come out of the spine, they come from the brain, they go down. Do you know where they go?
The feet.
Everywhere. They go down the leg, the liver, the kidney, the bladder, the spleen, the heart, the lungs. That's the importance of the properly functioning nervous system.
Now, is that gun that you just showed me, is that acupuncture? A type of acupuncture? Or what does that exactly do?
The instrument unlocks the joint. There's different styluses for it. We can reset muscles.
What's it feel like?
Like a thud. But the computer chip in there, the accelerometer, and that's why they charge $5,000 for the instrument, believe it or not, and I've got two of them in the office. They've hooked people up. Most of this was done in Europe from Dr. Koloka, a chiropractor in Arizona, where they put different probes on the bones, on the muscles, and they would adjust people with that, and they would see the oscilloscope do different things. So we know we're getting a neurological response when the spine is adjusted.
Does insurance cover a visit to a chiropractor?
Yes. Medicare insurances do, basically on
Medicare covers it?
Absolutely.
And do you recognize Medicare?
Do I well, I'm in the Medicare program, whether that's an advantage or a disadvantage.
Speaking of Medicare and the health industry, certainly a hot topic today is Obamacare, national health care. What do you have an opinion of what's going on with that, and how is that going to affect your practice in your life?
We don't have enough time to give you my total opinion on Obamacare. And I truly think we've been sold a bill of goods. We don't know what's in the program. Aetna testified in Congress here a couple weeks ago and said their insurance is going up 20 to 100% depending where you're at in the country and what policy you have. They're finding that more people are being left out of the insurance thing, and everybody thinks, oh, the government's going to pay for my insurance. Absolutely not. Nothing is free. And very little, if anything, the government has ever done has been financially taken care of where the end product was worth it for the people.
So you're not optimistic that the program is going to work?
No.
Will it have a negative effect on a practice like yours?
Actually, chiropractic could do very well on Obamacare because there's not enough primary physicians for all the new people coming into the healthcare part of it. We are written in to the legislation, so we could do very well. I'm not counting on that, but I do know that if you do not have a primary, if you're a senior and you don't have a doctor, you better get it before January, because when Obamacare comes into effect, there's a lot of doctors that are going to stop seeing a lot of people.
We only got about 4 minutes left. Sorry, we're out of time. You have to come back, or I would love to invite you to come back.
That'd be great.
Sometime and have Mr. Bob Kozak here with us at that time. Everybody knows somebody that's got a disc problem. How would a chiropractor treat a disc problem, and is it possible to fix that problem?
Yes, it is. There's different types of disc problems. There's disc bulges, and there's disc ruptures. Patients will come in and say, I've had an MRI, I've got 3 ruptured discs. Well, if you do an MRI on 10 healthy people without back problems, 4 or 5 of them are going to show there's disc ruptures. They don't have any symptoms. So we do an orthopedic neurological exam. We try to isolate what level. The techniques we use, I have a flexion distraction table. It's very gentle, and this instrument is basically devised to mobilize the spine so you can increase circulation so the swelling goes down, and then to rehabilitate that person with certain stretching exercise protocol.
And would you work in conjunction with a back guy, or is your philosophy parallel to theirs, and do you guys get along?
Most orthopedic surgeons don't like treating back problems because there really isn't any treatment. It's either surgery or we'll do some exercise, see what happens. Our treatment is active, trying to reestablish the mechanics of the spine, because the reason a disc ruptures is some segments move too much and some move too little. If we can normalize mobility, we reduce irritation.
How about spine problems, Doc? What's the cause of most spine problems? And I mean, it's a common problem today.
Well, after 36 years in practice, I'm a firm believer that most of our problems start at a very young age. 8, 9, 10 years of age, we fall off a tree, off the monkey bars, down the stairs, and this and that. And those problems left untreated, and generally they don't treat those problems because we pat Tommy on the head and say, oh, it'll be better. But if the abnormal mechanics are there from a young age, then they worsen and you develop degenerative disc disease, degenerative arthritic changes, which many times is preventable if caught early enough.
Doc, and summing up, we're almost out of time here. Is there anything that I missed that you'd like to comment on?
No. This was a lot of fun for me. You made me feel comfortable, and I was going to wear a shirt just like that.
Well, hopefully next time you come on, I'll be able to fit into my other shirts.
Okay.
But, Dr. Falk, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
I appreciate
You did
the
a great
opportunity.
job. Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
calls. Thanks for the crew. Special thanks to Bob Weiss and the Colonels for arranging this interview tonight. Don't forget, next week we're going to Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock, and we look forward to seeing you then. Murray the Ice signing off from the city. Too tough to die, New London.
Yeah, this